Pylgia is the latest addition to the Immortals, a group of sinners who were part of Dr. Keelan's original expedition to the Perishing Star. These sinners have extreme mania contamination due to living in the sea for well over 100 years. Pylgia operates as a wave clear and spawn camper. Her M value, a meter unique to immortal sinners, is generated through the death of enemies or even allies. Now, time for the brutally honest part. Pylgia might be the strongest sinner. That's right, Pylgia is the strongest sinner in the C or lower tier. Tier list spoiler here, Pylgia is awful. She sets out to be this massive raid boss wave clear sinner who relies heavily on her ECB 3. But she can't use her ECB until 20 enemies have died. Like, wave clear is the first thing you do every stage. It's the first thing. Doesn't matter where you go, Mania trading, ROTD, story, BFL, everything starts with wave clear. And at this early point in the stage, Pylgia's tools aren't available yet. And then when she finally comes online, your team has defeated 20 enemies, the wave's already dealt with, and she just sits there like a dingus. If you defeated 20 enemies without Pylgia, then you don't need Pylgia. Her boss damage is pitiful, her ult cost is ridiculously high for what it does, her M value depletes rapidly, and there's just nothing really going for this character. To give an idea of how bad Pylgia is, she needs to defeat 20 enemies before she enters the corrupted state. And then she has 12 seconds of power. Most story stages, hell, most stages in general, don't even have 20 enemies. You never get to enter the corrupted state in the first place, and the vast majority of Pylgia's power can only be accessed while she's corrupted. This entire stage, she hasn't entered it once. If you want Pylgia to have even the slightest chance of performing, you have to pair her with LL. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. LL is the only reason Pylgia is even playable. And then, if you go to BFL, you need to enter your corrupted state. And to do that, you have to bring Duro or Yao to purposely kill one of your own sinners. When one of your sinners die, Pylgia instantly enters the corrupted state, and then she can break 2 cores at a very high SP cost. Keep in mind that her ultimate is like Eddie's. It looks like an AoE, it looks like one, but the damage is actually dealt in individual tiles. It's this fake AoE but actually single target that makes the skill incredibly difficult to aim and counterintuitive to use properly. There's just no reason to jump through so many hoops for how little Pylgia does. To top this all off, Pylgia needs her ECB 3. Her ECB 3. She demands so much investment for the worst payoff we've seen since shit. When's the last time someone was this bad? Stargazer? I don't recommend Pylgia. She requires a ton of resources both in and out of game, and even when she gets those resources, she has, at best, mediocre performances. Seriously, her play pattern is to wait for her allies to kill everything, just so she has this 12-second window where she might be able to clear something herself. It's just not worth it. Use somebody who's always active. Pylgia's not. Okay, if you've heard all of that, and you're still a Pylgia Giga fan, with a body pillow currently being mailed to your home, here's what you need to make her playable. And again, this is just to make her playable. First, you need Tempestuous Void. It's one of the new Crimebrands that's the Immortal exclusive. This Crimebrand lets her enter the corrupted state earlier, and it's also her best DPS option. Then you gotta take her to ROTD, and hope the first wave has 3 or more cores for her to break. Then you gotta pair her with LL to help mitigate the high SP cost and improve her mediocre damage. Then, you can spam energy on Pylgia, break the cores, clear the wave, enter the corrupted state, and maintain the corrupted state by spawn camping with your ults. When you cast your ults, it does immediate damage, but also summons these appendages, and those will remain on the field and trigger when new enemies spawn. This lets Pylgia get some value in ROTD, where spawn camping is encouraged and sometimes even required. If there's anything Pylgia's ult doesn't take care of, then you can use her ECB to clear the wave instead. After using Pylgia's ECB, you get a window where all of your auto attacks hit this large 3x3 area, and this does come in handy for ROTD. I will give Pylgia some credit there, but this requires ECB3 for it to be relevant, and this character, she's not worth investing that many resources into. You're putting a month of resources into this character just so that she might be able to solo an ROTD stage. I mean, honestly, ROTD doesn't need a dedicated center. Every other center will work just fine. Most of Pylgia's effectiveness is actually just LL being ridiculously overpowered and carrying a very, very weak Immortal Center. It's clear from this footage that Pylgia isn't useless. She has uses, but it is stage dependent and extremely resource intensive in and out of game. And while she does fulfill a role, her role doesn't matter. Honestly, just replace Pylgia and LL combo with Nox and Labyrinth, and you'll be happier. It'll also be easier. Okay, with all of that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at some team comps. Pylgia needs LL. After that, bring things that help Pylgia hit more targets. Lisa, Kelvin, Lamia, and Enduras will help corral enemies to the correct location for Pylgia to effectively wave clear. If you still need to fill more slots, bring other wave clearers like Nox to help Pylgia maintain her M value. But, again, if you're already bringing Nox, just use Nox. Grab Nox, replace LL with Labyrinth so you can keep up with core breaking, and you'll do everything Pylgia does, but at an easier to play and more effective rate. Okay, looking at Crimebrands, Tempestuous Void, anything else is just hard copium. Pylgia is so weak and her M-value generation is so poor that she relies heavily on the power of Tempestuous Void to reach even mediocre performances. This is another angle of how expensive Pylgia is to build. This costs 1500 Battle Pass currency. It's just... man, I wish Pylgia was better. If you don't have Tempestuous Void, then you can look at Inversion Slash to help with their high SP cost, or Embrace the Dead as a new player-friendly DPS set. There's nothing special about Embrace the Dead, it's just an easily accessible yet effective option. Okay, let's move on from Crimebrands. Looking at Pylgia's ideal investment, the ideal Pylgia is S1 and ECB3. S1 is a large damage boost that lets her, with hours of refinement, obtain adequate results in BFL, and ECB feels very much required. Having my Pylgia only at ECB2 feels very awkward and incomplete. That being said, I don't recommend you put any resources into Pylgia. Grab her for the collection if you like her, but she's the ocean's best bench warmer. Though you can still actively go out of your way to hunt for opportunities where Pylgia can impress everyone by meeting minimum standards. If you're thinking about Pylgia, don't. Just put Jane in, use Bianca, take a load of Zero, Nox, Labyrinth, Truma, hell, even Rahu. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the brutally honest truth is that Pylgia is an absolute mess. Her numbers are low, her design philosophy is inherently flawed from like a conceptual standpoint, and she requires too many resources for most players to even consider. Again, I've placed Pylgia down in the C or lower tier, though she can perform at if your fan levels, if you bust open the reserves and commit to her high resource demands. It's a bit of a messy character. Okay, but Zephyr though? The A rank? Okay, we could talk about Zephyr. Zephyr's got some good stuff going for her. Expect showcases and a character guide for her as well. Zephyr's a good character with incredibly unique design that actively enables a lot of skill expression within her role. She hits hard. It's like she's launching airplanes at people or something. I'm actually putting Zephyr in the great power tier. I've got so many thoughts on Zephyr that I need to make a whole second video just for her. Great character, absolutely worth investing in. Again, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and if you vehemently disagree with me, then let me know. I'm open to feedback, but I don't know, man. I tried so hard to get Pylgia working, and she just doesn't keep up with the standard options. I suggest saving for a more useful center, especially with the crit meta right around the corner. Alright. My name is IDC, I don't care L. Y'all can call me whatever you want. I make Showcase for Path to Nowhere. Now I make character guides. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe for those Zephyr videos coming up. Yell at me in the comments for dissing your favorite underwater diver, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.